This is our weekly Green Chamber Green Hall meeting, where we are going to discuss each week really cool topics that have to do with being green or being sustainable, being resilient, topics that are directly affecting our community here in North Florida. We'll have topics that are relevant to North Florida, or we will have expert speakers, or both, that are expert speakers from North Florida area. So with that, I'm going to welcome you into the meeting, and I'm going to tell you what our rules and our structure are for this meeting. It's a 30-minute weekly meeting, so 30 minutes is going to go really fast. So please, everybody, mute your microphones. And then if you would like to speak, please there's multiple ways, just get my attention either on video, wave your hand, you can wave your hand icon, or you can raise your hand in the chat box. Today's meeting is more of a discussion than a presentation. So the first few minutes, we're going to do a quick little icebreaker. Then we are going to hear from our keynote speaker. Anne-Marie is going to discuss the topic of the day, and then we're going to jump into a then we're going to jump into a discussion. The discussion is for the audience to really tell us their thoughts, feelings, ideas about what today's topic is. And then at the end, we will have Q&A for our speaker, and then everybody will walk away with a Tuesday takeaway. So let's go ahead and do our quick icebreaker. Okay. Since this is a Green Hall meeting, we would like everybody to be able to follow up with everybody as they talk to or hear somebody talking today that they want to follow up with. We want to be able to let people get back in touch with each other. So please find your chat box. And everybody put your name and contact information in the chat box. Anne-Marie, if you could put as much contact as possible so people can follow up with you since you're the speaker, that would be great. Everybody,
my chat box.
You can find your chat box. I think it's,
I think I found it.
Okay.
I see.
So if you can't find Anne-Marie, just let me know and I can walk you through it again.
I see chat. I see chat. Okay.
Perfect. Contact would be either your name, an email, a phone number, or if you have a website for a company that you want to share, whatever you feel comfortable with, so that if you are having a good conversation with somebody later, since this meeting goes very quickly, you can follow up with them at the end. And I do ask that everybody please copy and paste their own chat boxes. Don't forget to do that. I'll try to remind you at the end. And I did also, one last thing, we are recording this video. So if you do not want to be in the video or you don't approve, send me a private chat and we can make sure that we'll take care of that. So let's see, how are we doing on time? So we're right at time frame. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next thing. So that's our icebreaker. Our next thing is for our speaker. Anne-Marie is with Beaches Go Green. Anne-Marie, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself.
Okay.
And then kick us off with the topic. You have about 8 to 10 minutes and I'll let you know when it's time, and then we'll go into about a 10-minute discussion.
Okay, awesome. My name's Anne-Marie Moquin. Thank you so much, Chris, for having me. I'm so glad to have you guys here. I founded Beaches Go Green in June of 2018, and our goal is educational awareness for the environment, and we focus a lot on our beach community and beyond. We do, we partner with events, and we also do educational talks. We have high school clubs and middle school clubs, so we're trying to engage young people and just really create the awareness that we need change regarding environmental things. So do you want me to start talking about conscious consumerism now? Okay, so I'm going to read you the definition by Webster. Conscious consumerism is a consumer who takes into the account the public consequences of his or her private consumption, or who attempts to use his or her purchasing power to bring about social change. So what that means to me is it means being conscious and educated about the choices that you make, and oftentimes not making the purchase choices. Not purchasing things in some cases. So I think the more we can do to educate ourselves on the sustainability of the products and the product chains, how they're made, where they were made, who's making them. It's going to help us be better consumers. There are a few things that face us as far as challenges. A lot of times our purchases are convenience based over maybe our conscience. And so that's something, I'm going to go through these kind of quickly because I feel like, but I think that that's a challenge. And the whole backbone of the American society is based on consumption. We're always driven to want the next latest and greatest thing. So it's going to really need us to pause and stop and consider if we actually need that new item or if we're being driven to want it on the consumption train. As the definition of conscious consumerism stated, I believe it's so important to vote with your dollars, whether it's the actual product that you're buying or the business that you're buying from. Keep them in line with your core values. Are they supporting sustainability? Are they aware? Are they doing what they can? And this is such a strange time where so many people and businesses are struggling to stay afloat that maybe they're not making all the decisions that they want to because they have to cut costs or so on. But anyway, just as long as the intention is there. And then I feel like confusion is their product is another challenge that we have being a conscious consumerism. There's a lot of greenwashing that happens, and it leads us to believe our product may be better for the environment or better for the planet than what it actually is. So with all that kind of challenge facing us, what can we do? We can educate ourselves. That's super important, to be educated about your products and about the companies that you're buying from. It's super important to me personally to support certified B corporations. And if you don't know what a certified B corporation is, it's a corporation that is certified to balance their social obligations with profit. So they're doing good for the environment, they're making conscious decisions, and they're also balancing that with profit. So there are a lot of certifications that you can look for to be a more conscious consumer. I'm going to back up for 1 second. There's so many different areas of being conscious. There's being food conscious. You probably know that Americans waste tons of food. 40% of our total food supply is wasted, which adds up to about $2,200 per family per year. So if we consciously plan our meals and we eat leftovers and we try to support local, so the carbon footprint's smaller, and we try to buy products with less packaging, that's super important as far as being food conscious. Eating green, composting your organics, and growing your own food, those are also part of it. Another big part would be fast fashion. We could do a whole talk on fast fashion. We're constantly driven to change and update our wardrobe with whatever the latest and greatest is, so we look good and we feel good. But the tides have switched so much from the 60s, where 80% of the fashion was created here and manufactured here in the United States. Now I believe it's like 97% that's produced abroad, and oftentimes not in great conditions for the workers. So fast fashion by definition are things that aren't intended to last. They're intended to be trendy, and we can wear them a couple times and then we can throw them away. And 85% of that cheap and disposable clothing ends up in landfills. Even though we donate it, a lot of those donated clothing items still end up being landfilled just because of the sheer amount of them. There are ethical issues when it comes to fast fashion, like child labor and human trafficking, extreme low wages and dangerous working conditions. So that's all part of conscious consumerism. How am I doing on time?
You got about 3 minutes.
Okay.
3 minutes.
Okay, sorry, I'm trying to talk so fast. Conscious travel is another really important thing. Support eco-conscious hotels and Pack only what you need. Make your footprint smaller. Pack snacks in reusable containers, and always travel with reusable water bottle. We're big proponents of reusable. Avoid taking the travel size toiletries. Bring your own that you can refill. Skip the Keurig and the single serving coffee machines that are so ubiquitous in restaurant or in hotels. It drives me crazy. And then while you're traveling, consider giving back to the community there. You can engage in several programs there. I often, after I stay at a hotel, will send them a follow-up email and tell them I appreciate this and I don't appreciate that kind of thing. So some other organizations to look into when you're looking at conscious consumerism are regarding food. You can look at American Humane Certified. You can look at ethical sourcing standards. You can look at fair trade. You can look at so many different things. We talked about certified B corporations. And I guess I'll wrap it up by saying there's so many easy things that you can do to be more conscious, but really knowing who's making your products, what's in your products, and where it's coming from are the biggest thing. There's a saying that says the most eco-friendly product purchase that you can make is the one that you didn't make. So think about repairing and refusing and reusing over purchasing whenever you can. So how's that? Do you want me to keep going? I have more.
No, maybe it can come out during the Q&A or the discussion. So we can move into the next part of this. So thank you. That was great. It was a great intro to it. Let me see. Okay. Oh, can everybody see these 3 questions? It's hard for me to tell on my screen if you can see them. I've got my different lists up here. So this is where on the right-hand side, you can see your participant box. This is where the discussion of this Green Hall meeting today will start. We'd like to hear from you. Please raise your hand. Like I said, raise your hand in the participant box and I'll ask you to unmute your microphone. Or if you can't find your participant box to raise your hand, just go like this in your video, or even send me a quick chat, and we'll start the discussion. So the first question, and Anne-Marie, you can help me with these questions. Sure. If you want. Do you want to read the first one?
Sure. So what do you think it means to be a conscious consumer? Does anyone have something they want to add? I think by definition, being conscious and consuming is being aware of what you're consuming by definition. Does anyone want to add anything to that?
Does anybody? I don't see any hands up.
Consuming, is part of our life, and it shouldn't be all bad. I think that we can make better choices by really supporting the people who are aware of the downsides of consumption and doing what they can to make it easier on the planet.
Well, since we're not getting a lot of hands up on that particular question, maybe we can go to the second one, and that will get a little bit more conversation going.
Sure. So is it too hard to be a conscious consumer? And I mentioned a few things that were challenges to being a conscious consumer. Are we being set up to fail by the industry and by our culture? I would love to hear what people think about that.
This one has a lot to do with Green Chamber, so everybody who's on, I want to hear some discussion here. Come on, guys. Anybody have a question? Or I guess not a question, a comment? Ashley?
It's a lot. Oh, Ashley. Okay. She's got a thumbs up.
Hey. Okay, I'll put my video on.
Hi there.
Hi. When it comes to, it says, is it too hard to be a conscious consumer? I would say, I guess it depends on who you are. Someone like myself that has 4 kids and, myself and my husband, and we're always running around like crazy, going to activities and everything else. As much as sometimes I would like to, do a lot of those things. I'll admit, as much as I try to, sometimes I have to give in because it is too hard when, you know, you're really pushed for time. And but you do try, but it is too hard when you have a big family and not as much time.
I do the same thing. You know, Ashley, you've met my children, and
Yep.
you know, sometimes the convenience of the Starbucks line versus running into the local coffee shop with 3 kids in the car. Sometimes the convenience is hard. You know, I want to support the company that does the paper straws and the, you know, that, but Starbucks doesn't do that. But then that means I have to get out of the car. I've got the kids. I've got to lug them. We're on the way to school. So I do think that it's a balance. It's definitely hard.
Yeah, we do that with soccer practice a lot, where I do unfortunately have a couple of water bottles in the refrigerator, just as if we're running out of the door and the kids are like, oh wait, I forgot my water bottle. And so instead of getting the you know, the conscious consumer option of the reusable one, I'm literally grabbing a plastic bottle to go.
Right. I totally get it. My kids are older now, so I can grind on them to prepare for themselves. But that, you know what that makes me think of? And I'm not judging, I'm just suggesting, but remember when the kids were really little and you would make bottles before you went to bed, or you would do whatever, like get the stuff, you know, make the reusable bottles and put them in your fridge or set them out, and you know, decide which things that you want to stick with, maybe, because you can't do everything. I get it. And I think we all, the fact that you're aware and conscious of it makes a big difference, right? Because probably when you do it, you're like, oh, right? I went to the grocery store yesterday, speaking of, and totally forgot my reusable bags. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get paper bags. And they were out. I was literally trying to hide leaving the store with like single-use plastic bags. So it happens. I mean, you know, I think being conscious and doing what we can is a big part of it. So
before we move on to the next comment, the next discussion point, I do want to make one more comment here. You know, are we being set up to fail by the industry? I think, you know, both Anne Marie and myself and Ashley and probably everybody here, we're all conscious and we're all trying to learn and make better choices, and we're probably all doing way better than most people. But then when I look in my fridge or my cabinet, yes, I go to the farmer's market as much as I can, and yes, I buy in bulk, and yes, I bring my own reusable, but a lot of the things that we use comes in plastic or plastic lined paper that we can't, it's very, very, very difficult to order anything or buy anything that isn't coming wrapped in some type of plastic.
It's maddening. It is maddening.
I mean, I told my husband the other day, we are so conscious of this, and we try very hard to pick certain brands. And our house still has a lot of plastic in it. It's really hard. So I do think that, you know, Green Chamber, industry specific businesses that are getting it and making it easier for the consumer, I think that's a good place for change to happen. Unless anybody else has any other oh, we have Sarah, you have your hand up. Can you go ahead and unmute yourself?
Hey, yeah, I just wanted to comment, kind of going along with what Anne Marie said about, you know, you can't really do everything. I think it's hard because you really have to sit down with yourself and think about what you value and kind of cultivate your, you know, sustainability or conscious consumerism superpower, because, you know, we can't do anything, and it's just finding out what you're good at and what's sustainable for you and your and kind of sticking with that and using that.
Agreed.
Yeah. Great point.
I think educating ourselves and continuing to be more aware, we just naturally incorporate more of those behaviors into our lifestyle. I just watched the documentary recently, A True Cost. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's about fast fashion and the fashion industry, but that blew me away. Like, it's like, you know, things on a certain level, but really to see that was really eye-opening. So I think educating ourselves is just a big part, and, you know, making small changes where we can is a big thing.
What was the name of that documentary?
It's called A True Cost, or The True Cost.
The True Cost.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Can Anne Marie, you want to you want to read the last question?
Sure. So what are you currently doing to be a smart consumer? If you want to know what I'm doing, I really care a lot about animals, and I grew up in a meat and potatoes household, and I never considered being vegetarian. And I did stop eating meat for almost a year, and I do eat some meat, but I really try to be conscious of it, and I try to eat less meat. And when I do eat meat, I try to source it locally, or I make sure I get humane certified. And if you really read the definition, like if you Google humane certified, it's super depressing. And then you think about anything less than that, and it's just god awful. So I try to do some things like that. I try not to shop as much. Gosh, I used to love to go shopping, and I try not to. And am I perfect? No, not even close. But I'm aware, and like I feel the guilt because I'm conscious of it. You know. Mm-hmm. Anybody else want to share what they do? With kids, it's really tough too, especially with the holidays coming and families. You feel like you're forced to buy new things, right?
No, well, yes, that's definitely true. And for me, one thing we're doing with the holidays is we're doing and asking for a lot more experience type things from our family. Yes. So asking for, tickets to a Broadway show or adventure landing or a cooking class or music lessons. So we're asking for those types of things, and rock climbing is my son's new favorite. They love those things, I think, more than the toys that they have sitting in the closet that they don't use anyway. And I think it's also getting my in-laws and family members to kind of think about that, because we've sent out a list of here's the things that we would prefer. We want you to cut down on plastic, and all of them were like, awesome. They were so thrilled about it. But I also Googled a bunch of like B Corp type toy companies and added some toys directly from those sites.
Ooh, I would love to get a copy of that. Yeah, I'd love to share that.
I'll share it with you.
Okay.
Another quick thing that we're doing, how are we doing on time here? We're slight on time here. We got about 5 minutes. Before I keep talking, does anybody else, can somebody else share something that they're doing?
Hey, this is Tara again. Hey, hi, Henry. How are you? I was just going to share that during the holidays, my family is famous for wanting to put together a stack of plastic plates or styrofoam plates during our meals. Oh. And so what I've done is every year I offer, every holiday, whether it's a birthday or not, I always bring like my grandmother's china. And then I hand wrap the silverware in napkins or in, reusable napkins, and try to set up the table ahead of time so that they don't feel obligated to throw everything away. It doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes I always have a stack of bamboo plates just in case if there's like a last minute thing going on, but it also brings the family together. And then, we talk about grandma's china and all this other stuff. So anyway, cool. They all know to expect that I'll be the one that will replace the plastic plates.
That's awesome.
That rocks. That's awesome. One other thing that I do that I think is cool, if everybody has not heard of the app Skin Deep. Skin Deep is, it's more of like a research database that they it's gotten really quite big. I've been using it for like a decade. And they now have an app on your phone where you can scan barcodes of consumer cosmetic-y type products. And it tells you the toxin level. So I know it's not necessarily cutting down on plastics, but it's cutting down on toxins, which are bad for our water quality, our air quality. It's bad for the animals. So the toxic level, it gives you like a rating on the app. So if you get oil of Olay, you can type it in and it tells you how toxic it is. And then it gives you alternative products that are less toxic and use less chemicals. And it's been for a decade, I've been using this and slowly, substituting out all my cleaners and hair products and toothpaste and kids products. And it's all basically chemical based, cosmetic-y or cleaning supply type products. And I love that website. Called Skin Deep. Awesome. It's EWG is the website, but it takes you, if you Google Skin Deep, it pops up. So with that, anybody else have anything else they want to share before, or any questions for Anne Marie?
I see on the chat, Chef Chris said, try to be intentional with every purchase, which is awesome. And then Sarah added, Think Dirty is another good app. So that's
Ooh.
cool.
Sarah, what is that?
Is that similar to Skin Deep?
Yeah, it's almost the exact same as Skim Deep, same concept.
Oh, cool.
I've never seen that one, so I'll definitely check that one out.
Do you guys have any, can I tell you one thing really quick? So we're trying to do this whole Green Your Halloween campaign. And let me just tell you, with all the single serving size candy and all this, it's so hard. So I did order a 0 waste box from TerraCycle. They were on sale. They were like 20% off because they can be really pricey, but they take all kinds of wrappers and different things that, that I'm trying to avoid, but it's almost inevitable at the Halloween time. But we're also we're giving metal reusable straws for trick or treat as well. And they have a little colorful silicone tip, so they look sort of fun. And then we created a mini series of videos, and our high school club made a super cute Green Your Halloween video. So if you guys go to YouTube and type in Beaches Go Green, check out our really cute Halloween greening videos. They're adorable.
If you can type that in the chat box so we don't forget how to actually find that, that would be awesome.
Okay.
And now it is 2:29, so we have 60 seconds left. Everybody, as part of our Tuesday takeaway, I think it's going to the next page here. As part of our Tuesday takeaway, I'd love everybody to type into the chat box what your takeaway was from today. And I know I just gave Anne Marie a task of typing something in, but Anne Marie, if you could think about it for a second and verbally just tell us what your Tuesday takeaway was for the day. And while you're thinking about that, Anne Marie, I'll just close everything out and let everybody know that next week we do these Tuesdays at 2, every Tuesday at 2 o'clock with a local relevant issue. And next week we are going to be doing a review of our policy committee, and we have a big event coming up tomorrow. Which is Thursday, which is in partnership with the Jack's Bar for our policy committee. It's our legislative review, and we're going to be discussing social and environmental justice. And so next Tuesday at 2 will be a quick takeaway, a quick summary of that event. So with that, Anne Marie, take us away and tell us your Tuesday takeaway.
So there's really 2 takeaways, and I really feel like knowledge is power. So the more you can educate yourself, the better decisions that you can make. And anytime you can, choose conscience over convenience. I think that we're really programmed to operate out of habit, and oftentimes we choose things because it's convenient and it's the way we've always done it. So if you can encourage yourself to question your choices and be more conscious, then you'll be better off.
Thank you. Everybody, don't forget to type your responses in the chat box. I'll keep it open for about 30 seconds or so. And everybody, please copy the chat box if there's somebody that you specifically want to follow up with or read other people's Tuesday takeaways. So with that, thank you, everybody. And Anne Marie, thank you so much for everything that you're doing. And thank you for talking with us today.
Thanks, guys. I wish it was longer.
We'll have you for a full-time one. I think this topic, and even the fast fashion that you said, maybe we can build something on that, because I think that requires a lot of discussion, which would be so cool.
Yeah, definitely watch that documentary. And I liked what was it Sarah that said? Yeah, Sarah, for sure, act. I think a lot of us have good intentions, but if we don't act on our intentions, they're really just thoughts and they're not making a difference. So get out there and do something.
Totally agree. Everybody go vote.
Thank you guys. Yeah, for sure. All right. Thanks, everybody.